Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. There'll be a lot of criticisms. Tonight, I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Stacy. Today, we are talking about the 5th episode of Survivor 45, I Don't Want to Be the Worm. I'm joined by my two fellow co-hosts in person, Josh Wessler.
Hello.
And Derek Kubicek.
Howdy. And there are a lot of criticisms and critiques that need to get thrown around tonight, and I don't think that Ryan and I are going to be pointing bazookas at each other, but, you know, we can always leave room for surprises. But I think the consultants are probably airtight tonight, so maybe a boring episode, but that's because
No.
It's not a boring episode.
Not a boring episode. Just remember, we're right, especially me. You're here to learn. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today.
So episode 5, the last episode of the pre-merge, it turns out. But I think, we'll be wrapping up the pre-merge today. But beyond that, I think we can jump into the spoiler section.
Yeah,
Solid episode, though.
Yeah, we'll be stay tuned not only for episode awards, but also awards for the entire pre-merge later on.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Now let's just get into spoilers and run through this.
All right, spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. All right, so the episode kicks off with Sifu and the rest of Reba come back to camp. And Sifu is like, hey, man, why'd I get a vote? And I think Dee said, she's like, I'm not ready to talk about it.
I don't want to talk
flag.
about. At least Dee had a vote thrown her way, so there is some excuse there. But I think the lesson to be learned is stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. That was Jay and Julie switching their votes was terrible. Keep Sean in the game. That would have been hilarious. It's super awkward. All the girls are going to claim they did not vote for Sifu. And Sifu's like, Sean told me he didn't vote for me. Sifu isn't sure because Dee's just like, deny. And I feel like we haven't really seen this as a strategy much on Survivor, so I've always been really curious to see it play out, and it seems to have worked.
I feel like we have seen it. I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but I feel like we've gone just like the whole deny strategy before, but usually it doesn't work long term. Like usually, you have one conversation with someone else. It's like, yeah, it was this person.
I think what helps is that there's not just one of these 3 women complicit in a coup against Sifu. Even though 2 of them called audibles and voted Sean out because he begged to not win the game, even though he could have won the game per Sean. Sorry, still annoyed. So if the intro doesn't throw Sean under the bus or into the mud, then I am going to continue to do so. But all 3 women know Sifu was the move. So when he says, I can't tell who's lying, it's because they all wanted him gone. So
Red flag Sifu.
So if you're going to deny, you might as well all be complicit. Mm-hmm. And, even if Dee does say, like, yeah, I voted for you, but Sifu, cards on the table, everyone wanted you out. If Sean didn't out himself, like, you were gone.
Yeah, honestly, and that's probably what she should have done if, let's say someone threw Dee under the bus, Jay or Julie, which was honestly a little surprised didn't happen. But if someone did throw Dee under the bus, that's the move. Be like, that was the plan. Sean screwed everything up.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me.
Yeah. If Jemiah, for example, throws her under the bus, she could have said, like, oh, really? Whose plan was it to do that in the 11th hour? And you didn't give us a chance to even consider our options. Like, there are so many ways that you can spin it. And it sounds like this episode we learned Jemiah was on the outs with everybody. Nobody was working with Jemiah, period. That's from her mouth. Yep. So it's interesting to think that they were all complicit, and in this case, deny is actually 1 for Dee, 1 for Jemiah, 1 for Julie, and it just is a wash.
Over on Bello, we get a segment just kind of showing that Kendra is actually really fun to be around. Like, people who were skeptical of her, like Drew, actually really like her. Which, I'm glad we got this, because the way I view Kendra is insane, and I think that's true, but like a likable insane, I guess, is what it actually is. So I'm actually really glad we got this segment. And tonight, so again, spoilers, Brando is going to be the one voted out. And I think that's why they chose Brando's, because everyone really likes Kendra. So her social game ended up saving her.
Or maybe they were just like, all else equal, Brando's the one being schemy plotty.
True, that it probably didn't help either.
So
Kendra's not a threat.
Right. I mean, if someone's likable and not a threat, that's the perfect person to not vote out, generally speaking.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. I think if Carolyn is like the brand of tea, We heard Drew make a reference to steeping. Kendra has been steeped in the Carolyn tea, but has not been steeped for nearly as long as Carolyn was.
It's like Diet Carolyn.
She's Diet Carolyn.
Steeped?
That's what you do with like a tea bag.
Yeah, when you put the tea bag in the water and it
steeps.
I've just never heard this word.
Steeped. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know.
The longer you leave it in there, the longer it's been steeped.
Tea is terrible.
It's true.
You've had bad tea. There's good tea out there, guys. Genuinely.
I don't believe it.
I've had some good tea and some of it's all right.
I'll stick to my Bang energy drinks.
That's totally fine. They're probably better.
Coffee.
Over in Lulu, Jake collapses again. He recovers pretty quickly. I think he just probably stood up too fast. But what we learned about Jake is he actually lost a crap ton of weight before coming on Survivor. I used to have like an eating disorder. And honestly, that, and he's pretty mad at his body for betraying him like that. But honestly, that's probably part of the reason he collapses is maybe his body isn't like fully used to having less weight on it now. That's a extreme change in body weight. I'm sure the body is still adjusting. That's probably part of it.
Well, and not only that, and I don't think he really specified how long his weight loss journey was, but like if it was pretty condensed.
I think he said 2 years.
Okay.
I think he said 2 years ago he had the moment where he realized he was going to start losing the weight.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's been like in his current state, like how long that's been, but if he had gone on to like a really, rigorous workout regimen with probably other diet things attached to it, he's not getting all those other nutritional whatever he has in his diet right now on the island. So regardless if it has to do with his weight or something that he's used to having during just his weight loss journey, it just doesn't exist right now.
Well, and I'll just say, depending on the timing of it, his body might have been in starvation mode still, because like that's what happens when you start to go on a calorie deficit. Your body enters a certain starvation mode, maybe not full blown, but then all of a sudden you're on Survivor. Like that's about as close to full-blown starvation as you can have under supervision, but like his body doesn't understand that, so it's like, you know what, we don't know what to do. We were already short.
We're gonna collapse
and shake a little bit.
We're gonna hard reset this. So I really do feel for the guy, because this is something that's out of his control, and I don't know that this was like a lack of preparation thing. I think it's just something that's happening.
I don't think so. It was kind of eerie how he fell and shook, and it was almost exactly the same both times. Just the way he fell, and just like and the short amount of time. It was so short, and he recovered so fast from it that I don't know. It was just something that I hadn't really seen before.
I've had similar things happen to me. If I stand too fast, get really lightheaded. There's been a few times where I've definitely like had to like go down on my knees and just be like, "Whoa, hold on."
I do think it means we have to go back and say it was likely not smoke inhalation, but it could have been, and maybe that just didn't help.
Probably.
So.
The entire tribe goes like off to get water, except Katura, who's looking for crabs. She was back. Everyone's gone. She's like, "Cool, I'm gonna look for the idol," and gets caught by everyone. Caleb is gonna seize the opportunity to be like, "Hey, everyone saw you looking for the idol.
I tried to warn you.
And this makes Katura want to work with Caleb. And so they build a bond, and then we get like a super cut of Caleb bonding with everybody, including Kelly. Kelly was the last one he hadn't quite bonded with yet, so he tells her about Sabaya's idol and how the idol of Honolulu's gone or maybe rehidden. But this makes Kelly trust him, so now he has an alliance with literally everyone on Lulu.
It should be a good thing. It might be a little bit dangerous as we're heading into the merge, because now, those one-on-one connections are the things that can burn people once you do end up betraying them, because you will.
But Caleb needs numbers. He
has no choice. And this is the right move to do for him.
I think, because we either we have the merge coming up or we have the earn the merge coming up, we're not sure. The edit is feeding us a Caleb Katura alliance that's going to go deeper, I feel, than maybe the rest. Maybe Caleb and Kelly is also maybe Caleb, Kelly, Katura, Kendra, like, the entire Virgo alliance, Virgo.
Which I don't think is a thing anymore.
No, sure, maybe not, but like Virgo +1, like, I don't know. If they were to go to tribal right now, I'm convinced that Katura would need to be the one going home. But I feel like the Katura Caleb edit has longer legs. So that's just reading into the edit a little more.
I mean, that's what I was saying last week, and you guys disagreed with me. So I'm glad that you are saying a little bit now.
Well, it's like, hey, small sample size, but, I hope I wasn't shutting it down too hard. It's just like, in the moment, Katura has to go home. But once a merge arrives, that changes everything.
I do think this episode definitely gives Katurah a little more ammo in her war against Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not 100% confident that Katurah will lose this war.
And I don't think we're going to see it. Like, yeah, we definitely would have seen it if they would have gone to tribal. It almost for sure would have been either Bruce or Katurah.
Yep.
Now that we know what's coming next episode, who knows how this is going to end up? They might all end up working together for a vote or two.
Yep. Could be. Over on Reba, I love the girls. They all kind of talk smack about Sean for quitting and then throwing them all under the bus on his way out. Good.
Warranted.
More Sean smack talk, please. Yeah, I don't mind like someone being like, throwing someone under the bus on their way out the door. But the fact that Sean was quitting and did that, get out of here.
Like, you've done enough.
Yeah, get gone.
Like, we were going out on a limb to save you, and you quit because you had the real Turbo Man at home. Like, stop.
Now did I don't remember. Did Sifu ask him if he wrote his name down? So he just kind of answered him.
The dang thing.
Okay.
Because you're quitting. It would be totally different if Sean just got like blindsided. Then be a little petty, fine. But Sean, you suck. I really don't like Sean. Sifu reveals that he's been building a fake idol, and he's kind of throwing it out to people. He's like, I'll be fine. I have an idol.
It was not subtle enough to be believable. I like the little hints better. The classic idol in the pocket or fake idol in the pocket.
Yeah, rock in the pocket. This is exactly how like a 26-year-old who hasn't studied Survivor that much would tell everyone, oh, just so you know, I do have an idol.
Or maybe really subtly leave your bag open with the idol like in there, so if they want to go through your bag, they can easily find it.
If you have an idol, subtle things. You don't have to say you have an idol.
Yeah. He who has to declare himself king is no king.
Yeah. I don't know if Sifu has subtle in his game bag of tricks.
Based on the second Kamehameha that we've seen in 5 episodes, I'm gonna say that subtlety is not his strong suit.
So back over on Bello, Brando is not super close to Kendra. That was like the one person on Bello he wasn't super close to. So he's like, oh crap, I'll try and bond with Drew instead because we're nerds and we both love Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon Go talk in this episode. Nerd.
Derek's favorite.
Hey, I do actively play Pokemon Go, and if y'all want to add me, I need to give you my friendship code. Maybe we'll drop that in the description or something. I don't know. We'll see. I love Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I haven't played it since that one summer.
Man, that was a fun summer.
It was the summer of 2016.
Yeah, is it that long ago already?
Oh, man. I think so.
The last good summer. Brando talks to Drew and Emily about forming a nerd alliance, and Drew is not interested. And Drew, a big fan of the podcast. Go watch Ghostbusters, because you clearly not learned the Ghostbusters rule.
Yeah, nerd. Come on.
If someone asks if you were a god, you say yes.
You say yes.
That's the line from Ghostbusters. If someone asks if you want to be in an alliance, you say yes. You say yes, and then talk to Emily later and be like, probably not. But I just said that because, like, he kind of put me on the spot.
Now, like, we gave him his flowers for coming open about Mystery Adventure Island, because that's the kind of thing where, like, it can paint a target on your back because you've left the tribe there, and people are looking for reasons to jockey for a different position. You played it the Castaway Consultants way. You made ground. Good job. But, like, if someone is earnestly coming to you, or even, like, disearnestly or unearnestly, yes, you want to be in an alliance. Otherwise, you've just given them ammo on their belt to work against you, which Brando articulates perfectly. If you're not with me, you're against me.
Brando's going to target Drew in this episode.
When it comes to the money, Survivor is a zero-sum game. Like, you can talk about the experience and yada, yada, yada. You have the real Turbo Man at home. Like, I don't care. When it comes to the money, Survivor is a zero-sum game. If you're not working with them, you're working against them.
And it's really a conversation in Drew's mind of Reba versus Bello. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have to be what the conversation means at this point. It could just be like, hey, sure, like, yeah, I'd love to work with you. We can go for Kendra this vote. It might just be something where he's trying to save his own back, and that can be okay for right now. And I would like to point out that there's someone else sitting right there at the same time. Emily is right next to them during this entire conversation. She's not a part of the conversation, but like, because
there's one nerd though.
But she's there. She doesn't chime in at all. Yep. But you got to be thinking about that, and you have an alliance already with her. So if you're really talking strongly about, yeah, man, that's probably not going to happen because we're going to be really Reba strong come the merge. What is Emily going to think about that? You need to be thinking about other people's perspective.
So Brando obviously wants Drew out next because Drew's not going to work with him. Totally fair. So he gets Kendra on board and tries to pull Emily on board. And so Emily's going to end up being the swing vote in this episode between the two sides.
Yeah, spoilers, these are the ones that are ultimately going, so we need to pay attention.
Yep. Over on Lulu, the Lulu tribe is kind of talking about maybe not eating today, and Bruce gets very mad and is vocally opposed and just starts being Bruce again.
I tell him to eat a Snickers, but...
Like, even Caleb's
Eat a worm.
Eat a worm.
Even Caleb's getting fed up with Bruce at this point, but he wants to stay on Bruce's good side just in case, and then it'll be easier for him to take him out later.
Hey, really good on Caleb. Hey, really bad on Katura. Imagine.
Yeah, and really bad on Bruce. Worse on Bruce.
Yes, Bruce gets no flowers.
Katura at least says it in confessional and off to the side to Caleb.
Yep.
She mocks Bruce while they're going and grabbing wood.
Yep. It's not to his face.
Though you can tell they've had conversations about this before because Bruce is like, he stops himself from saying, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He says, wait, I'm sorry. That's not the dumbest thing I've ever... Like, you can tell, like, Katura has shushed him at least once in the past.
Bruce, you gotta learn a little bit more from past events and stop it.
Yeah, you can't press the red button that tells you not to say things in the middle of the sentence. Yep. You have to press it before the sentence comes out. Use that frontal lobe development.
So, Jemiah has an idea. She tells...
Sorry.
She tells...
The way he said that was like, Jemiah had an idea.
Well, that's kind of what I mean.
She had something.
She tells Dee and Julie, hey, let's tell Sifu I voted for him, and then I feel on the outs, and then I'll be the decoy vote, and you all say you're going to vote for me, and that way Sifu won't play as idol, and we can take him out. And Dee and Julie should be like, yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And they do that to her face, because this is a great plan for those two. That, wow, Jemiah just served herself up on a silver platter as a decoy vote, and you can use that and do it, and this is perfect. Cut to Dee talking to Julie about, maybe we should turn on Jay. No! What? No! No. It's not going to happen in this episode. But no. Jemiah just gave you, like, perfection in the plan for you. Let it happen.
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind, because, like, it's easy to talk very poorly, like, by reading between the lines about Jemiah's game thus far. And we've done so on this podcast before we had validation.
And I will continue to do so.
Jemiah said she hasn't really had an alliance and she hasn't really been connected with anybody. And this is an opportunity for her to earn her way in and at least build some safety with Julie. I think that is a really good point because she knows she didn't vote for Sifu. She doesn't need to do this, but this is some way for her to buy some goodwill. And honestly, Sifu is still the more erratic, more unpredictable player. That's why you were going to vote him out ahead of an outsider. Jemiah wasn't on the chopping block. These thought exercises from Dee the last 2 weeks leave me questioning her strategic acumen in the long term. Will it turn out? Does she see something that I don't? I don't know, but I feel like going with Jay in the event they have to go to tribal is the obvious choice here.
It's just extremely unnecessary. You have a plan A and a plan B laid out right in front of you. If Sifu does have an idol, which once again, you should know that he doesn't, but whatever. They should. If that happens, he'll be voting for Jay. It really does not matter. None of this matters.
This is the enemy of the state strategy that I pitched in our Survivor Kage-On rewind, which you haven't heard yet. So I'll lay it out again here briefly. Basically, the idea is you just get two factions to vote against each other, and you guys can kind of stay out of the bloodbath. Jay votes for Sifu. Sifu votes for Jay. One of them has not. It doesn't matter. One of those two is going home unless they both have idols. It's perfect. I think Dee is going to overplay herself out of this game.
This is a localized version of the Matt Singh strategy as well, where it's like you've got two bigger warring factions, and they're going to forget about the two.
Sure.
Like you need two groups to be more mad at each other than they are mad at you.
Yeah.
And if no one hides in Survivor, it's like that's why I say it's a localized version of Matt Singh.
Immunity challenge, Reba's going to win, so none of that matters. Lulu gets second, so we're going to send Bello to Tribal Council, but we're going to bring a journey back into the equation.
Mystery Adventure Island.
Been a while since we had one.
Mm-hmm. I'm cool with less of these.
Yeah.
Fewer. This is number 2 in the pre-merge, and I think that's the perfect amount.
Yep, let's stop here. Reba gets to decide who goes. Jay and Dee play rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes. Jay wins, she goes. Again, you shouldn't want to go to this.
But they played rock, paper, scissors.
You know, Jay going, I don't hate, because she's kind of in a not great position.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind Jay going.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to pick Kelly and Austin to go as well.
And they kind of throw Austin under the bus a little bit like, oh, well, he's old Reba. He can give us information. Like, okay, well, they're going to tribal and you know that. Thanks for painting a target on him.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe a bad move by them. They should have probably just picked Emily, who, at least on paper, is an obvious swing vote.
Yeah, I think that this was an unintentional bad move. Not only because they vocalized like, yeah, we want to get some information from us, and like, they're going to be Reba strong.
I'm in danger.
But also, if you really do want to be working with Austin again in the future, which they do, put him in the best position possible, which is spending time on camp and making sure that he's with Emily. You don't know how long they're going to be on this journey, or if they're going to come back and, like we've seen in previous seasons, have 10 minutes before tribal to scramble. Like,
I don't mind them sending Austin. It's just like, would Jeff ask you like, oh, why Austin? Have a better answer than that.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, why not? Say why not?
He's got a cute face.
So they all go on their Mystery Adventure Island tour. Back at camp for Bello, Kendra's going to pitch that Drew should go. He's weaker than Austin. Obviously, he doesn't want to work with Brando. Cool. Makes sense for them. Brando tries to, like... And it is kind of interesting because they'll kind of, like, agree to scramble.
Yeah, speed dating.
Speed date scramble style.
I like how they referred to that.
Polite scrambling.
Yeah, polite scrambling. Like, let's just get the obvious... Let's just make this obvious and it's fine.
It was kind of a little initiated by Emily. Maybe that's where the experience of going to tribal so many times comes in nicely here, is that it's like, all right, nice, calm, organized scrambling.
You guys all seem new here. So either we can be really awkward about this, or we can all just take one-on-one walks down the beach and convene back here and stare awkwardly into each other's eyes until tribal.
And honestly, if you're in a position of power, I think this is the way to go. Because then it's just like, it's less secretive scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this for Emily.
And it could be a situation where, the guns don't end up being pointed at you in the end as the person stuck in the middle. It's very rare to have that happen. But
you have to really screw it. You have to be Christy Smith from Amazon to screw that one up.
Yeah, and the other thing, it seems like going into that conversation, it was pretty obvious to Reba, to Bello, and they're not interested in working with each other. And that was, Basile said exactly this. That was very much a Basile move. Drew should have been taken over.
I think that was a Drew move, not a Basile move.
You know what? Yeah, because Drew is like the straightforward,
Basile's the party guy.
Yeah, he's the party. He's the schemy
Gets
one.
along with everyone.
Yeah.
So that was a Drew move,
so,
not
yeah,
a Basile move.
so we needed Basile here.
So Brando's going to pitch to Drew, hey, I will give you my shot in the dark if you take out Kendra instead of me. And Drew's like, that's unnecessary. Don't worry about it. You don't need to do that. Maybe you should have, Brando. I don't know. Maybe you should have played it, Brando.
Yeah, I guess maybe. And weird, we haven't seen this before this season, but this is now the second time that we had someone use their shot in the dark as a bargaining chip.
Drew does not really believe Brando's pitch, hey, well, I'll take out Kendra together. So he's going to go to Emily and say, hey, Brando tried to pitch a 4 something to take out Kendra. And Emily's like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't believe you, Drew.
I think the way that he should have framed that up is Emily, I know that this is Survivor, and you probably won't believe this, but this is what Brando said to me when you walked away.
I think he had that skeptical tone enough.
See, I didn't think so. I thought he was a little bit more excited, holy crap, we can just vote out Kendra. At least that's what I got from that.
That's not what I got at all from that.
That's what I read.
We need to rewatch the scene, I think. We need
Yeah. We need to check the tapes on that one. We'll let the audience decide, I suppose. But I felt like Drew could have gone into that and done the very Derek Kubicek thing that I used to do. If you're a longtime listener, I used to qualify this podcast. And now I just kind of understand everyone gets it. This is all conjecture. But I used to have the 3 things. Qualify your statement. Emily, I don't know how to tell you this. Brando said this. I don't know if I should believe him, but do with that what you will. You're the one who gets to make the decision here.
Okay. That would work.
Just a thought.
That would work.
I didn't have any issue with the way that he said it the first time. It was more, Brando did a good job at just throwing just a bunch of confusion out there.
I think he did a fine job. I think he could have left less room for error.
Because Emily is going to talk to Brando, and Brando's going to say, that was Drew's idea, not my idea. And so Emily's like, I don't really believe Drew. Yeah, Brando's just throwing Drew right under that bus.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah,
unless you really think that you were going to be able to work with Drew, that's going to be completely out the window. So if he is assuming that, which he should be, this is perfectly
Brando's
fine.
doing what he's got to do.
You know what's crazy though? If done better by Brando, this makes Drew the target and this makes Kendra the target. It does not make him the target. So at least if there is a decision to be made by Emily, if he plays it right, Drew and Austin go for Kendra.
Yep. Well, you got to remember, we got the whole Austin thing coming up here, which I think changes everything, and I think that's out of Brando's hands.
Well, right. Is this the moment that the vote changes from Kendra to Brando?
I think it was always Brando.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought initially it was
Brando
Kendra.
pitched Kendra, but no, everyone likes Kendra. They went Brando. It was always Brando.
Oh, okay.
It was always Brando.
Mystery Adventure Island. The group gets to the top of the hill, and they have a choice. Majority rules, 2 out of 3. They can either pick food, they will each get a sandwich and a beverage, or advantage amulets. And they work exactly the same they did in 42, where the 3 advantage amulets must be played together, and they get more powerful the fewer there are. So if there's 3 in the game, it's an extra vote. 2 in the game is a vote steal. 1 is an idle. We saw in 42 that this was incentive to vote each other out. Hai and Drea got taken out, and Lindsay was the last one standing, and misplayed it hilariously.
Was it that long ago already? Wow, I didn't remember that being 42. I thought that was more recent than that.
42. This will be good until the final 6, the last time these can be played. And Austin
is learning.
Smartly realizes this is not an advantage. As Devin Pinto once said, this is not an advantage. This is a disadvantaged amulet.
As it seems like we're saying a lot recently, that's bait.
Yep. This is bait. Admiral Akbar, if you prefer Star Wars nerds, it's a trap.
It's a trap. Do not take the advantage amulets.
I think the best way to pitch this for Austin is, hey, we can all still work together and eat sandwiches. This removes the incentive to vote each other out. And I know he said that last part, but just say it like, I still want to work with you guys. We have this. Let's eat the sandwiches and go home with no blood on our hands.
Yep.
And I think he handled it as good as he basically can.
I agree. I do.
He tries to go for food, but Jay and Kelly both want the amulets because they're dumb. This is such a trap. Do not take these. Do not.
What's interesting, I think Jemiah makes the right choice because she has no allies. So this might force people into working with her.
I don't know. I don't know if
but I do think it's bad for Kelly and Austin.
I think it's worse for Kelly.
It's worse for Kelly. It's bad for both.
Because from like Austin, it's like, I tried my best. It's not the worst thing in the world because at least he can have the whole Reba angle, at least with Jay, and try to pair up with her.
Right.
From Kelly's perspective, these are 2 former Rebas.
Mm-hmm.
You probably shouldn't give them any more incentive than they already have to vote you out of this game.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity because Austin's already, planted his flag on the sustenance side. You have the out right there, gifted to you to not give Reba another advantage.
Eat the sandwiches. Austin's going to pivot when he realizes he's lost. He's like, okay, this is fine. Allies are good. Doesn't believe it at all, but he says the right things. They're going to make a final 7 pact. They won't take each other out to the final 7 at the earliest or through the final 7. Whatever. It doesn't matter because
we're not going to get there.
I'm not sticking to that. I will take them out as soon as I can. And that's the problem with the advantage amulets. All it takes is one person to think that way, and these are disadvantages now. Do not take these.
Yeah, and you know what? The more and more I think about it, the dumbest... Like, this was clearly the dumbest for Kelly, because if Reba and Bello need to go at each other's throats because Lulu has been decimated, who's the first person that Austin and Jemiah are going to push for? Kelly.
Yep.
She's got a great relationship with all of these other people, and she's got this secret amulet thing that we don't have to tell anyone about. Kelly is going to be public enemy number 1 for Reba going into a merge situation. That's really bad. I don't think she thought about that.
Nope.
That was the very first thing that I thought of in this situation.
It's a trap.
Woof, Kelly. Oh dear.
And it's very minor, but I love the confessional as we're leaving Mystery Adventure Island. Just the difference between Jay saying, "This is the best day on Survivor that I've had so far," and Austin being, "This is the worst day ever."
Yep, Austin. I love Austin.
Austin has the right mindset.
Austin might be he's quickly becoming my favorite.
I was not expecting it at the beginning of the season, but he's right up there.
Yeah, I was expecting more like woo super bro energy from Austin. I think he's more of a Devin, and I'm really liking it. On Bello, Emily and Drew talk. Emily tells him like, "Hey, I'm skeptical of what you told me," and Drew reiterates, "No, I swear this is Brando." I promise. And so this is like one of the rare times where Emily's like straightforward, aggressive, not aggressive, straightforward, assertive behavior worked out in her favor, I think, because she got the truth behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
Usually not good on Survivor. This worked.
She pulled out her inner Boston Rob.
Yep. Austin's going to get back, and he's going to tell it was like the group. It was food, or we could compete in a sweat challenge to get the advantage. Very smart lie, because this was set up earlier in the season. This was something some of them did, like Brando did this. And he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. A sweat challenge to earn the advantage. He says they did sweat and failed. He's going to tell Drew the truth. Like, no, we got this advantage amulet. And Drew's like, go tell Emily this as well. Get her back on board, please. And he does that, and I think this is what seals the deal.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt.
No. Showing people documents, I think, is a great way to get them on your side.
Showing a stock analyst a signed document, I can confirm that
Receipts.
that would maybe convince me of things.
And it's not like a, hey, I have this idol. It's like, no, I have this
crappy advantage.
Basically useless right now that also can help paint targets on other people. So why not?
And you just saw me lie to Bello, but I'm telling you the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. So I think this is what wins Emily over, and I think Emily going with them is the right move after Austin does this. Mm-hmm. If someone's going to show you their documentation, good. Yep. We love it.
You know, speaking of inner Boston Rob, because now I'm immediately thinking back to Sifu's fake idol from earlier in this episode. I think if you're feeling a little Boston Robbie and you feel like you can do this to someone,
you shouldn't.
I'm just saying, or maybe your internal dialogue should be then like, if you don't show me paperwork with that idol, then all you're doing is trying to confuse me.
You don't say that to anyone ever. Do not say that to anyone ever. You talk about that with your alliance behind Sifu's back.
I understand you talk about it behind their back. That's why I'm saying, like, if you're feeling more Boston Rob, I don't know that Boston Rob would be successful in Modern Survivor. I don't think that he could be. People would see him as way too authoritative and way too terse and brusque, and he'd get voted out.
There's a reason he only won on Redemption Island, where everyone else was an idiot.
Yeah, that's what, we need to be thinking about these things with paperwork.
Yep.
That's why paperwork means a lot, almost more than the idol.
Yeah, honestly. Which maybe Survivor should get rid of paperwork. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, like burn this after you read it.
Or in Heroes Hustlers, like the directions to the clue were put on a tree, and then they tacked up the tree to hide the clue. Maybe like you're on Mystery Adventure Island, the documentation is there, you can't take it with you. It's written on a rock.
It's laminated or something.
Yeah. It's just stuck there, and it's real, but you have no documentation to prove it. That's interesting.
A beware advantage where the paperwork is sugar paper, and you lose your vote until you eat the paper.
Sure.
Put it on the board, Jeff.
Okay. No such thing as a bad idea.
Or this will dissolve in water. This documentation. You have this documentation as long as you can keep it dry.
This idol, should you choose to accept it.
There we go. This will explode in 10 minutes. All right, we're going to go to Tribal Council. Austin, he's going to sacrifice his vote to extend the life of his idol. But he plays his goodwill advantage so he could still vote. Okay, so that's done. Cool.
This is out of the game.
This is some ridiculous Yu-Gi-Oh combo card combo card combination.
You've activated my magic card.
Yeah.
I'm going to sacrifice my vote, but my trap card.
Exactly.
You've activated my trap card.
So his vote's back to normal. So it's going to end up being 3 votes for Brando, 2 for Drew. Kendra is hilariously stunned. This is the right move.
Overly stunned. Yeah. She is so flabbergasted that it could have gone this way. She was convinced.
Welcome to Survivor, Kendra.
That Emily was going to be with them.
And Ryan, I just want to walk you back for a second, because you're saying like it's the right move, but I want to have that conversation before we get there, because ultimately I think we understand for old Bello and old Reba, they're going to fight each other. So it's really about what's the right decision for Emily.
Yep.
Because I don't actually, like, we the people, we the royal, we know the answer because we know who's being shadier.
True. It's not as cut and dry for Emily.
It's not as cut and dry for Emily. And I also think that given Emily's mindset, it becomes even more muddy. So if we put ourselves in Emily's shoes, Ryan, why do you think?
It's really simple. It comes down to Austin showing the paperwork. You have someone who's willing to do that and back it up with like, no, this is what I have. I lied to them. I'm not lying to you. Here's what I got. That's enough for me. Side with Austin.
And she felt comfortable with them 2 days ago.
Yep.
I don't think she felt comfortable with old Bello until, just like this last day. because they made, that conversation that tried to cement the three of them just recently, whether it's just today, yesterday, I don't remember, but you had almost that day one swap conversation between her, Drew, and Austin, that they're like, yes, this feels great, let's do it. Just go with that.
Acknowledging that could have been an edit whoop-de-wop as much as anything else. I think I'm inclined to believe Ryan, because then at least you know about, and it, like, because Brando and Kendra could be hiding things, Drew and Austin could be hiding things, but this is one thing that you do know about that has cross-tribal implications, and you knowing about it is huge, because now you know something about Jemiah, you know something about Reba then in general, and you also know something about Kelly. It's like you can start to figure out what the plans are going forward. I think by making this move, she is saying, I am going against Bello. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's necessarily a horrible bet at this time. So I'm with Ryan.
I'm curious. We didn't get any of this just in the edit, but I'm curious if there was any conversations about, tribe dynamics or whatever in the last few days since the swap about, how, who might be together on Reba versus who might be together on Bello, because that would obviously change what she might want to do just based on, how those numbers could line up after once the merge comes around, but we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, Brando said, I might have that for you, but it didn't sound like they had shared any of it. This was at Tribal Council. He's like, this is why it's good to make allies with me. So it's like, okay, but if you were true in your intentions and there, it wasn't Bello strong, you would have already told us. Mm-hmm. But he hasn't.
What did Twitter think? Right move?
I'm gonna guess yes.
Another pretty close one this week, but this time the majority of Twitter, so 57%, said that no, the right person did not go home.
Well, they're wrong. What is wrong?
And we did actually get 2 replies, so I did want to, shout those out quick. And it was actually one for each of the sides. So first off, Jamie said that yes, it was the right person because his strategy was dumb. Should have told Emily and Kendra his game plan. So I think he's saying, like, before talking to Drew, maybe tell Emily and Kendra what you're going to basically do, so that if Drew does come back, you're not really, like, blindsiding Emily. I don't know how viable that would be, because it seems like he kind of just decided in the moment to try to get something to work out with Drew.
He wanted it to be like a he said.
You can't do that because that's putting Kendra up as a possible decoy vote. That's bad.
Well, and it turns it into a he said, and you're just gambling that you've got a better relationship with Emily.
Telling them ahead of time.
Oh, well, right, yeah. If you tell them ahead of time, then you can't fool Emily into thinking that Drew lied to her.
Yeah, and also Kendra might not like being put up as a decoy vote.
Yes.
So
no, that's never good.
Don't do that.
And then on the other side, we had Brandon Straight on Twitter say no, the right person did not go home. So he said, no, Kendra should have went home because Drew should have accepted the alliance with Brando and added more options for himself long term.
Drew should have said yes to the alliance with Brando and then possibly voted him out. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Drew screwed up earlier on for sure.
Which I think that is a good point, that it probably should have been Kendra because of that. But if we're, taking a step past it and just looking at, okay, if we're looking from Emily's perspective of should it be Brando or should it be Drew?
Yeah,
I think she made the right choice.
Drop us into Tribal Council, and I think that the right move was made. If Basile shows up when he's supposed to, then very likely Kendra could have gone home.
All right, let's get into best to worst player of the episode. For best player, I think it's pretty easy. I have Austin. He pivoted well on Mystery Adventure Island when things weren't going his way. He showed the advantage to Emily to get her back on his side. He expanded the power of his idol, played the goodwill advantage correctly, took out Brando. It's just a great episode for Austin.
I've got no notes. Agreed.
I also had Austin, but it was actually pretty close for me. I want to give an honorable mention to Caleb because he did cement all those, he said, one-on-one, relationships with everyone else in his tribe, broke through with Kelly specifically by giving her that information. Not enough to get the best, but enough for an honorable mention.
How about worst player, Derek?
I've got Jemiah. So she gave herself up for bait, which is giving people who don't necessarily have her best interests at heart all the ammo they need to either vote her out or just keep dragging her along as a goat. And I don't think that it was the right move for her to want to take the amulet at the top of the mountain. Now, granted, it was worse for Kelly, and I do have a dishonorable mention to Kelly for her wanting to do that. But I think that the other thing is that we've been reading between the lines about Jemiah's game. well, in the past, when an episode finally pays those dividends out, cash in pocket, right? Jemiah confirmed herself she doesn't have allies in this game. So it's easy for me to now say, like, okay, you're in an absolutely horrible spot of your own making, and you made 2 bad moves in this episode.
Yeah, I was thinking about Jemiah. I was thinking about Kelly. Both of theirs were like one thing. I'm gonna go back to the well here, and I'm gonna go with Bruce. Because this is more social than anything here. Yeah, these were bad moves for each one, but I don't think they're gonna terribly hurt him right now. We'll see with Kelly. That'll be really interesting. But with Bruce, obviously we know about his history with Katurah, but now he's starting to rub, it seems like, Caleb the wrong way. We're not getting any other confirmation about anyone else in the tribe, but I've just got to assume at this point that everyone's annoyed with him. So I'm just going to give it to Bruce because I think it's fun.
I agree with Derek. I think it's Jemiah. Dishonorable mention to Kelly, but what saved her was she did make an alliance with Caleb. Jemiah's plan, bad. Taking the amulet advantage, bad. All right, so we're shown the merge, or maybe the earn the merge twist. We don't really know, but something is happening next week where they're all coming together. So we're going to say this is the end of the pre-merge era. So this is where we do a couple extra things. We do best player of the pre-merge, worst player of the pre-merge, and we check in with our winner picks. So let's get into best player of the pre-merge. As a reminder, for both best and worst, we can only give it to the people who make the merge, these first 5 people, who a lot of them would earn worst player of the game so far, but of the surviving players, who's best and worst? Josh, best player of the pre-merge.
I kind of wanted to go with Emily just because of the way that she was able to adapt, but I think that her poor gameplay early on is enough to, take that away from her. I don't like how much of a threat he seems to be right now, but I'm going to go with Caleb. He has a ton of connections. Yeah, everyone sees him as a big, especially social threat, but, when you've got a lot of people on your side, it sets you at least up to make it through the mergatory or merge vote, and then who knows what ends up happening after that. So I'm going to go with, yes, he's my winner pick, but I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh, and I don't feel great about anybody because they're all flawed. I think Caleb is the best, and that is his flaw. He's too good. It is Caleb because he survived Lulu, and he's just made all these great social connections and the one he made with Emily saved him. So Caleb is my best player of the pre-merge.
So to me, this was a 3-horse race. It was Kelly, it was Caleb, and it was Austin. I think that what we saw in this episode today positions Austin the best, and he was slightly more camouflaged than Caleb through the pre-merge just by the nature of what has happened. So he's stacked with hardware. He's got a fantastic alliance. I do think there's going to be some Reba, Lulu working together to attack Bello, which leaves those 2 starting tribes in better positions moving into a mergatory situation. So I have Austin, and I have him kind of stealing it in this episode. Coming into this episode, I would have told you Kelly, with that amulet in her pocket, she has made herself public enemy number 1 for Reba for sure. And if Lulu goes with Reba through the Emily connection, and maybe Caleb just hops back over with Emily just as easily, who knows? I can't give it to Kelly anymore. So she stumbled at the finish line, and I give it to Austin.
Man, yeah, you made me really close to switch to Austin there, but I think I'm going to stick with Caleb. But
I respect
it's really close to Austin.
Caleb has had about as good of a pre-merge as he could have.
Yep. Austin had a couple of speed bumps with getting some of these advantages early on that I didn't love, so that's why I didn't pick Austin. Worst player of the pre-merge, I have Jemiah. I think there's a bunch of people. You could throw in Bruce, you could throw in Katurah, you could throw in Sifu. There's a lot of people who can go here. Jemiah, I think, has at least positives because somehow she doesn't have any allies, but she could, and she's throwing herself up on a silver platter and taking the advantage amulet. I don't know. She just doesn't seem very game aware, and you could go a lot of different ways, but I'm gonna go with Jay.
I went with Jemiah. I feel like there's an argument for Kendra. I feel like there's an argument for Sifu. I took Kendra off of that because at least she piloted the Virgo Alliance early on and is likable. Yeah. Sifu is incredibly erratic, but seems to understand, like, at least earlier on, he's like, I'm going to stay Reba strong, but he should have been less public about it. Could be Sifu, but I feel like what I have seen from Jemiah has typically not been the right move. And so I landed on Jay as well, but it was close.
Yeah, those things make sense. I kind of feel like I've been the Katura of the podcast because I've been giving Bruce a lot of hate in this entire pre-merge, and I'm going to keep going down that road here. It's Bruce for me. You were talking about, just not being all there with the strategy for Jay, but, Bruce is not self-aware, and that's a giant negative when for at least for me when evaluating the best and the worst of the pre-merge. So I'm going to go with Bruce. It seems like if he hasn't turned people off right now, he will very quickly come post-merge.
All right, let's check in with our winner picks. Derek, you have Kelly. Josh, you have Caleb. I have Katura. We cannot switch these. We're stuck with them. But if we could, who would we switch to? Derek, who'd you switch to?
Oh, and what's hard is, like, I feel like on Original Bello, Kelly is still kind of the gold standard pick over there. But I can't get over this target. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like if I had to switch, I would maybe switch to Emily. Okay. So I again can't believe I'm saying it, but I don't really want to be on Kelly after the amulet situation. It'll be interesting, but if I could switch, I'd consider Emily.
That's not good enough. Would you switch?
I'd switch to Emily if I could.
Okay.
But I'm stuck.
Yep. Josh?
Oh, man. I love Caleb. I love Caleb so much. Can he make it to the end? If he makes it to the end, he's winning. Can he make it to the end? Like Derek said, on Bello, it really seems like Kelly's the only one who really has a shot, just edit-wise, and who I think can actually play the game. I'm tempted to switch to someone like Austin. Emily, I think, is extremely valid as well. I think that when the merge comes here, there's going to be enough numbers to swing other directions that Caleb does have a shot to make it to the end. So I'm going to stick with him.
Okay. I'm leaving Katura. Way in the dust.
What?
Gone. I would switch to Emily. I think I would. I don't feel great about it. 'Cause I don't feel great about anybody. But just edit wise, I think I'd switch to Emily, and she's the most seasoned player at this point. So I think she can lose because of her straightforwardness, bluntness. I think that could cost her the game. But I would switch to Emily if I could.
Now, do you think that it would cost her the game at Final Tribal, or would it cost her the game by not letting her get to Final Tribal?
Yes.
Okay.
Both.
That can help get you there, and it can help get you there as a player and as a GOAT. So it's
and it can also prevent you from getting there.
Correct.
As a player and as a GOAT.
Hey, at least with mine with Caleb, I know that all I have to do is probably get there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a way to pick.
All right, let's get into who's going next. It's Chaos Emergatory. Who knows? One name. Just for funsies, and you could say you're right if you're right.
Yep.
Bruce.
Bruce. I thought about Bruce just because he's got that, like, he's already played, he's annoyed people. So I definitely heavily considered Bruce. I think Reba is going to lose this war. I think Caleb is going to pull Emily back in, team up with Bello, just for like a vote or two, because I think that will implode. I think someone from Reba is going home. I landed up, and also with the fact that Sifu, I think, would flip. Now that someone voted for him, I'm going with Jemiah. I think with that advantage amulet in her pocket being a target, I think she's going to get taken out here.
I can see it, and I like you saying, like, Emily getting pulled back in by Caleb. Like, I brought her under my wing so that I can keep her under my wing. That would be a really fun rewatch payoff.
That is going to be very interesting how that plays out between, Emily being pulled in the direction of both Drew and Austin and Caleb, and if those two things just clash, because maybe Caleb swings over with some of Reba now that Emily has made inroads there.
I just think Emily's way more likely to jump.
I think she's more willing because of her her strategy first mindset. For mine next, I'm actually just going with Sifu because this is no pun intended or pun intended, shot in the dark. And I feel like he's incredibly volatile, and it will be an easy one for Reba to kind of just like let go of the reins a little bit. Like, that, fine, draw first blood, and everyone else being like, this guy's got a little Tony in him, and we don't like that.
With Caleb and Emily, it would make sense to take out Reba since he just lost Brando. Mm-hmm. So take it down to 5 each then.
Caleb hasn't played with a single Reba yet. All right, let's get into who can't win the game. And now that we're going into the merge, this is going to be fun. There is 2 people who can't win this game. because if it's a final three, two people can't win. Who are the two people who cannot win this game? So I'll go first. So with the two people who can't win this game, I think they're feeding negatively off each other. I have Katura and Bruce.
Interesting duo. I've got a different non-duo. I've got Jemiah and Sifu. Sifu was my who can't win. If I could only pick one this week, I would have swapped to Jemiah, but luckily I get two, so I just get to build on my current list.
I just think people generally like Sifu and Jemiah more, like they're pleasant enough, whereas Katura and Bruce have ruffled some feathers.
See, I think people view Sifu this exact same as Bruce, where it's like, wow, he should be likable. Should. And then you spend a lot of time on the island with them, and it slowly chips away. And Bruce, according to Katura, has all of his Bruceisms, or whatever she says about him. And on the other side, Sifu just plays the air guitar for the 5,000th time. That probably wears on you a little bit. So I'm going to go with both Sifu and Bruce.
You know, we see 1% and 1% of what goes on. It's worn on me a little bit.
Can you imagine seeing 99% of 1% of Sifu and like the Sifuisms and the Bruceisms?
I my brain a little bit.
And the Kendraisms?
But you said Bruce and Sifu?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last thing we got to do is we got to check in with our survivor pool. We all survived because we all picked Emily. So, Derek, you can't pick anyone you've already had. Who are you going to pick for the survivor pool?
Yeah, and to recap, Derek has already picked Caleb, Drew, Austin, and Emily.
Yeah, so I need to...
All players who are still in the game.
I've made it to the merge, boys. This is the first time I've ever done this, but I need to swap up the strategy a little bit and start being a little bit more risky. So this is the first week of that, knowing that I'm stepping into the crossfires. I'm picking Bruce. I'm picking Bruce this week.
Okay.
And this is why Derek has never made the merge.
Okay.
Hey, I understand what's going on here. You look at the names I have left, and I'm like, ooh, I need to make it to the end, too.
Yeah, notably, the players that I've picked already are Sean, Brando, D, and Emily. If you notice, two of those people are already out of the game.
Big.
So, advantage Josh. And I'm going to pick someone who isn't even an option to Derek and Ryan, and that's Austin. Austin has the idol. I think that he is extremely safe, even if Reba ends up losing this war. He at least, he could go home with the idol in his pocket. I understand that. But, I got to trust that he plays it correctly.
That's a good pick. Probably would have done the same if I could.
That's why I picked D when you guys picked Austin.
Yep.
I wanted to have that waiting.
Have that idol. Who have I picked so far?
And then Ryan has picked Katura, Drew, Austin, and Emily. So also 4 people who are all still in the game.
Disadvantage Ryan. I'm doing the opposite of Derek. I'm playing as conservatively as I can. Who is the person no one is going to target? That's Julie.
I was thinking about Julie.
Julie's my pick.
I was bouncing between those two. I don't know if that matters, but...
It matters because you, in my opinion, picked incorrectly. But we'll see.
Hey, if Bruce doesn't go home, I picked the most correctly.
You've got a point.
You're either right or you're wrong.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap this one up. Social media.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Castaway Pod. TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook is Castaway Consultants. We have a website that is thecastawayconsultants.com where you can search all of our episodes and Ryan's blogs. And we also have some fun engagement on Spotify.
Yeah, and from last week, we had 2 questions. One was, would you ever hold someone hostage in the game of Survivor? Keywords, in the game of Survivor.
Thank you.
93% of the votes that came in said yes, and 7% said no. Come on, you gotta say yes.
The correct answer is yes.
Hold Sean hostage.
And as for the short answer, I said the swap is back. What else should make a triumphant return? And just like I count on the internet to do, y'all are a bunch of trolls. We got the Jack and Jill reward because people would be actively trying to throw the reward challenge to not go on it.
I love that idea.
And I love all of you. Fallen comrades, why was that one of the most common answers to come in from you guys?
Because they know you hate it so much.
Derek's least favorite aspect of Survivor.
Do you hate me? What, did I do something mean to you?
No, they just know that you need more free time. And if Fallen Comrades comes on, you have all this time to do things around the house.
There are 90-minute episodes. They might bring it back.
I hope not. I really don't want it.
So those were the 2 favorite that I had. Thank you for the responses. We'll see what I come up with for this week.
I'd rather have the medallion of power than Fallen Comrades.
Oh, dude, I love the medallion of power to come back.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Bring back the medallion.
Medallion of Power Master Race. Let's go. Greatest advantage of all time. All right, anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.